3, 2.
Hello, Graham.
Well, it's so good to see you. So good to see you.
You too. Welcome back, everyone, to Looking for Good, brought to you by Tea at 3, or however you want to combine those things. My name is Faith Schmidt. This is Graham Kerr, and here we are. Back again. I believe this is our second official Looking for Good episode. We're back at it post Thanksgiving. Here we go.
So you had Thanksgiving, and sometimes people say a family Thanksgiving is something that is endured as well as enjoyed, and I love that juxtaposition, as you know. So how is yours?
Well, I understand the social idea concept of enduring Thanksgiving, but I've always kind of thought that Thanksgiving has never been all that mandatory. And so if you didn't like that process, then you didn't have to go. And I always went to Thanksgiving because I enjoy having a good excuse to see my family. And that's usually when we go out and get a Christmas tree together. And it's near my birthday. So I usually get to see my family right before my birthday and have that celebration also. And I haven't seen my family since August. And before that, I hadn't seen them, or at least I hadn't seen my niece since Christmas. So I really wanted to go see them. But because I live with other people, I wasn't able to quarantine at all. And Washington is very strict on people coming in from out of state. And we didn't want to be the impetus for people to see us because we were in town, because most of the rest of my family all lives in the same place and get to see each other more often. So we didn't go. And I really didn't think that it was going to be that big a deal, because this has just been the continuous of the last 7-8 months or whatever. And I thought that I would be used to it at this point, but it sucked. I didn't realize how much I missed them, seeing them in person, even though I get to speak to them digitally all the time.
Yeah.
And my niece is feels twice as big as the last time I saw her, which is crazy. But something that, it's very interesting to be this whole idea of looking for good is everything that Thanksgiving is all about. Having the attitude of remembering the things that you're thankful for and spending good time with family and those things. And so it was very interesting to be the hardest week for me to have this mindset was the week in which usually it's the 1 week of the year in which that's the week that you have that mindset. But on Thanksgiving Day, I woke up late at 11:30, immediately had a 2-hour phone call with my mom and my dad a little bit, and then went directly from that to a big Zoom call with my husband's relatives. And by the time that was over, it was 3:00 and we hadn't eaten anything because we'd just been on Zoom this whole time. And so it's so funny to be usually all day I'm helping cooking and being a part of this and snacking and ridiculously full all day long. But I hadn't eaten anything by 3 p.m. on Thanksgiving. I was well, we hadn't gone to the store. And then we realized that we were going to be going to the store on Thanksgiving. And we didn't want to go to the store on Thanksgiving. And so we didn't really have anything to cook. And we knew we were going to have another call at 4. And so we had between 3 and 4 to be what do we eat? We're starving. And my husband got an email saying that there was a restaurant downtown that was handing out free Thanksgiving meals to University of Montana students. So
Wow.
We hopped in the car real fast, drove down there. He went in, showed his student ID and got meals for us and brought them back. And it was just, they were out of turkey. And Jacob was like, oh, they're out of turkey. And I'm like, Jacob, we're vegetarian. And he was like, oh, that's right. He forgot because it's Thanksgiving and it's like you eat turkey. Like, oh yeah, okay. Well, there was no turkey then. That's fine. And we got to eat that. And then my family hadn't entirely decided when they were going to have their call, like as a whole family, like with my brother and my niece and that side of the family too. And so I was like, well, I messaged them. So when are we having this chat? And then I checked my email and there was an email to a Zoom link that had started an hour ago. And I was like, wait, there's no way this is it, right? They wouldn't have forgotten to add me to their Thanksgiving family call, would they? So I clicked on the link being like, there's no way they're all just in here. Like, and they didn't notice I wasn't there. I clicked on it and they were like, oh, hey. And I'm like, are you guys kidding me? You forgot to invite me to our Thanksgiving family Zoom call. But like, I mean, because I had already talked to my parents earlier that day. They were like, yeah, we already talked to Faith. This is the one with our son now. And I'm like, okay, well, but it was good to have a whole day of at least the day was full, and so there wasn't too much time to think about not actually being there.
Do you know something? You have described the most amazing Thanksgiving. You literally, apart from your room, your housemates, you had a virtual Thanksgiving this time. So
yeah, my housemates aren't here actually. They're off visiting family in a different place. So it's just Jacob and I.
So you really did have a virtual. Well, now tell me, how was the emotions of that compared? I can see there was an emotional loss that you had. Is that right?
Yeah, I think it definitely hit the most in not getting to see my niece for a while, because that is like the biggest change. Like the last time I saw her, she had like a couple words that she was starting to say, and now she's like almost figured out how to count and like is just about to start saying full sentences. And I'm like, oh my gosh, like she is such a marker of time passing, whereas like all my other family members don't change that much now. They're just always there, you know.
How old is your niece?
She's 1.5.
Yes. I have a 2-year-old granddaughter, a great-granddaughter. And she's going through the same experience. And I had the same sort of experience yesterday with her as well on virtual. Yes, that's interesting, where we miss whole sectors of life because of growth taking place. It's a sudden snapshot and then another one. And it's almost shocking how much change there is in such a short space of time. Yeah. Well, I'm trying to explore this thing, and you've been part of my exploration, getting to know you exclusively through virtual. I mean, we just don't know each other face to face. And I'm so enjoying our relationship that we built up just during this time of chatting with people watching us. So I've got to the feeling that this is something unique going on, this communications add-on. Up until now, millions have watched the flat screen in movies and television programs. But this business to interact is so extraordinary. And I think we don't really know what it's like until we meet a time like Thanksgiving. Because that is always so human and so interactive and so immediate. But so is this. What we are saying to each other is immediate. And I can see you, I'm more riveted upon you than I would be if we were 12 people seated around a table and you were one of them. Because I would be scattering my attention backwards and forwards. But this is just you. So I set up my Thanksgiving knowing that my son was going to come across and see his daughter, and he was going to quarantine himself before and be tested and do everything that was possible. But all the same, we agreed, because my community in which I live is very, I can't say very strict. I think very disciplined is a better way of putting it. We understand that if once we get it in the midst of people who are mostly over 80, then we are in a really serious position. And a very similar place to ours, very close to ours, has had over 170 cases in the community and 9 deaths so far. And that's, yeah, when it's that close, yeah, it lets you know that we haven't had a single case since March. And that's extraordinary. And I think it's largely because of discipline. You know, give me liberty or give me death is a famous statement of the United States. Well, it's being echoed nowadays. You know, give me liberty. There's too much control and everything else. Well, we've accepted the control, not because it was demanded of us or mandated. It was just suggested that if we cared for each other, we would take this kind of precaution. And so we did, because we do care about each other. And so it seems to work. I think that's kind of interesting. So I have wanted to do something all my life, which was write personal letters to each of my family. So my family kept on increasing in numbers. And so my failure to do this kept on increasing in size and weight. It just seems like life gets in the way. And I really wonder whether that's true. If I look at the hours that I spend doing something online or watching, you know, a movie or that's being, you know, streamed or whatever it is, and I take all of that time and imagine being able to sit down with a pen and a piece of paper and write a personal letter to somebody, it's surely, I'm not out of that time completely. There are things that I prefer to do for me rather than write the letters. So I got to myself as, you shocking piece of work. You know, I so wanted to do this. So I set out this time that I was going to have a full table with my whole family. And so I wrote out an envelope for every single member of my family, and I have 22 now. I love the number 22. I was born on the 22nd and married on the 22nd, so 22 is a big number for me. And so here I now have 22 people in my family. So I wrote their names down, first of all, on the envelopes, and then I got all the addresses and wrote those on too. And then in the morning, starting after breakfast, I began to write. And I wrote all day.
Was this on Thanksgiving? Or was it a different day?
Wow. No, all on Thanksgiving, all very personal. I put the paper in front of me and I started to write. And here are the 22 things. I thought you might like to see them before they go in the mail. And I wondered what I could say which would be different. And every time that I pulled up a piece of paper and got my pen ready, I had something to say that was specific to each person. And I just was overjoyed at the time that I was enduring. My neck was in spasm, my hand was, I love to write clearly and plainly, especially for children. And my handwriting was getting shaky, but all the time it was, here's a fresh person of my family that I can share my life with. And it was joy, 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 joy all day long in the midst of the endurance that there was there. And I can't tell you how excited I am about it. It's the best Thanksgiving I've ever had. And then, you know, the quark stuff, QU, I keep on forgetting how to spell it. It's that mashed up, whatever it is, vegetarian thing. Corn, QU-O-N.
Oh, okay.
Have you ever tried that?
No.
Corn. Okay, well, there's a round thing like a little sausage, and you can slice it in nice rounds. And that is, I soaked that and sort of macerated it in my son's sauce, which is called Sauce Andrew, which I make with apple juice and orange juice and cook that over a high heat so that it caramelizes. Then I thicken that, and it's a wonderful citrus taste. So I put this slices of corn into that, serve that over stir-fried vegetables and black rice, and it looked just flat out gorgeous. So my son gets online, and we have one of these FaceTime things, a quick thing with my great-granddaughter, who blew me a kiss last time that I saw her, and blew me another kiss, and actually went to hug the handheld camera, which was just so sweet. So I had just a great time. So I had one of the best days I've had in a long time. So it was good. It was good.
That's so good.
Yeah. So I'm learning about the use of the screen. And so here's what I feel that is happening to me at the moment. I got so distressed the other day at the news, and I won't tell you what the news was that distressed me. Who needs to hear distressing news ever again? But it so ticked me off. That's just a British expression. Actually, there's an Australian expression. It made me get off my bike. You know, I mean, they say, "Oh, he really got off his bike." That means that somebody got angry. Is when they get off their bike. Yes, it's like the Australians have a wonderful word with how happy are you? I'm really happy. Well, how happy are you? Like a box of fluffy ducks.
I haven't heard those ones.
Yeah, but imagine little tiny ducklings in a box, you know, cheeping away, sort of all close to each other and fluttering. It's a nice expression. Anyway,
it is.
So
yeah.
I got off my bike and I shouted at the ceiling, which was, "We are a broken people. How do we get fixed?" That was my attitude. I literally, my fists uptight, and I was uptight, and I was just reacting like this. And immediately I felt these words: each one love two. Each one of you love two others. And I said, well, which two others? Well, people beyond your own immediate self-interest, people outside the ripple effect of your life. Find two people to love. That's it. And be kind to them in depth and follow up in that kindness so that they feel accepted. And I just feel we just so desperately need to feel accepted across the battle lines of the past political season. We have to repair those and come back together again. We can't keep on being opposed to one another. So it's just one of us love two other people. So anyway, that's what I'm trying to do. So and it really makes, you know, this business of ours looking for good. Mm-hmm. If you're looking for people that you can love, that's actually looking for the good that one might do by simply being kind to somebody. It's not something else that comes to us. It's almost us that goes to something. I mean, I don't know whether it makes any sense, but anyway.
No, yeah, and there's a lot of like personal fulfillment in that too.
Yes.
On Monday, I got to go and visit my friend's new baby. He's really cute. But while I was there, like she was holding baby, and my other friends were like getting some other work done, and like everybody was doing something, and I was just kind of there, and I was like, well, we brought all this stuff to make dinner, and so I start making dinner, and then we all ate dinner, and then everybody was still kind of doing stuff. And so like, I was like, well, I'm still don't really have anything to do. So like, I'll clean up dinner. And then there was this one pan that I had baked tofu in that I hadn't put like enough oil in the pan, and it wasn't really nonstick anymore. And it was a total mess. And I was like, well, usually I would just like put some water in this and like ignore it and let the people who live there deal with it. But I was like, no. No, they have a newborn, like they're exhausted and busy, like you can just do this thing for them. And so I like found the like metal scrubber and like scraped all the like tofu crumbles like all the way off the pan and like got everything completely clean and like put all the stuff in Tupperwares and wiped down the counter. And it was just it was nice to have a reason to be joyful about that experience, because usually I'm just like, oh, I don't want to do this right now. I'm here. I want to just like hang out with my friends and stare at a really cute baby. But like these people who I'm going to be leaving this task to have a newborn and are exhausted. And so like I'm going to do extra work for them to like, and then find joy in cleaning the counter because I'm
Yes.
doing it for someone else
Yeah.
who I
And you
know
found it?
doesn't want to.
And you found it?
Yeah, yeah. And
That's
at
wonderful.
the end of the night, like after we had left, they had like gone to sleep in the middle of like cleaning up and everything because they were exhausted. And so after we had left, they were like, "Oh my gosh, you cleaned everything! That's so nice! Thank you so much." They were just like tearfully thankful because they're so tired and like we're so glad that they didn't have to do it.
That's you see, that's one loving two. You just did it. I think that's so. I am so eager to try and see this every day. I think I've got two sets of eyes and two sets of ears. Thank goodness, because I have to wear glasses and I have hearing aids. So I'm getting less through my natural senses. But I have another set that I can discern things that are going on. You know, if you think about the person who might be thirsty, and you had some water and you could give them a drink. That would be easy to understand in the desert. But a person who is intellectually thirsty, who is just so down because of the darkness of the time, and to see a person like that and to have something that represents good, clean, wonderful, fresh, chilled water, and be which is just good stuff to be able to hand to somebody and give them. I think I can't wait for that discernment to see when a person is thirsty. Okay, so we're ready to launch ourselves off into our lives and look for good and watch other people looking for good too. I've got my eyes open for them as well. I think it's a movement. I found out the other day by looking at the flag of the United States that most of that flag in the area of that flag is white. And I don't mean racial now. I just mean in red, white, and blue. Okay, so it's white, and blue is the least, and red is the next highest color. So we've had red waves and we've had blue waves. So now I think it's time for a white wave where black and brown matter. All right. So you can't just say it's time for a white wave because that could be completely misunderstood.
Mm-hmm.
But wouldn't it be nice if we were neither red or blue, but in actual fact, we were looking out for each other in that one loves two basis. So one person in the white man loves one in the blue and the other one in the red. I hadn't thought of that, but it's dumb. Anyway, so that's just my odd sense of humor. But I'm looking for it. All right.
I'll say one more thing is that I have one of my friends who lives nearby is a very good example of this idea that even though it's difficult to be constantly looking for good and constantly trying to find joy in the little things and the big things and everything, that it is worth it because it makes you happy and that happiness can spread to other people and like and that kind of effect. One of my friends is she is amused by like the tiniest little things. Like I don't know, I'll just like make a stupid little doodle on a piece of paper and show it to her and she'll be like, oh my gosh, that's so great. She's just like really excited about the tiniest little funny things. And every time you get that reaction by like something that you did or like seeing her react that way to like a tree outside because it's really pretty, and like having that like overflowing sense of joy just like is so contagious and continues to spread around. And so that's why I like am continually interested in like pursuing this idea, because I know the good that can come out of it for me and for the people around me.
Yes.
Yeah.
And every time we spot it and every time we're glad, there's something about the love in our life going outwards. We ripple and we ripple. And that's wonderful. I just love to ripple. Every ripple has got a high point and a low point, and they follow each other. So, and I think I'm perfectly prepared for the fact that I do have some things that I want to get done, and I'm not getting them done. And I'm frustrated about that. But okay, the next thing that turns up is a joy. And if I look for it, and then that compensates for the ripple, for the trough before the ripple. So,
yeah, that's a great way.
That's a way of thinking.
Yeah. I do want to share one little comment that we got on our last video from Arts Roundhill. Said, "You two kids are delightful. Thanks for the glimmers of sunshine."
Oh, good. A glimmer. There you go. We're rippling glimmers.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm thinking of that lovely effect that water has on light. Well, it's kind of like the light reflecting all around behind me.
Exactly. I once imagined that I saw the moment that I was conceived, and it looked like throwing a stone into a lake when the sun was going down, and the sunset was reflecting over the flat surface of this pond, and the splosh went in, and the ripple effect started to go out, and it caught the sun and shone into the high points of that ripple. So it was a beautiful, radiant expansion. And that was the time that I was conceived. And I thought, yes, I received that. Sorry. Okay. Now, what about our audience and their joy? How are we going to get that?
Yeah, so like we have been talking about, sharing these beautiful moments of joy continues that ripple effect. Like, I'm receiving joy from Graham's stories of joy, and he's receiving joy from mine, as well as we are receiving the joy from the moments that we are looking for ourselves. So if you have those little moments of joy, please share them with us down in the comments below. And if you are really enjoying this program, we also have a Patreon. It is a monthly donation service. It's patreon.com/T3. And if enough people just give a couple dollars a month, then we can keep this program going and continually looking for good. So thank you so much for watching. Thank you for being here on episode 2 of Looking for Good. We will see you next week again for another week of deeply searching for the good things in our world and sharing those with each other. Thank you again, and we'll see you next week.
Bless you.
Bye. Oh, and yes, please don't forget to subscribe if you haven't already, and liked the video if you enjoyed watching. It really helps us out. Thanks.